Hey everybody, John Grimsmo here. I'm back. I actually haven't gone anywhere, just been here in the shop with my brother, working our butts off. So now that social media is such a big part of our lives, Instagram and YouTube for us, I've realized something pretty important in that you're kind of only as good as what you share, what you prove, your work. And when I shut down and work instead of post, it probably appears like we're not doing anything because we're not showing our work. And that's kind of a conscious decisions I've been making lately, is to not post much because I want to focus and spend time being busy and get stuff done. But I really want to post more because I want to show you guys that we're working hard, we're working our butts off, and it's fun, and we're doing a lot of really cool stuff. But when I have the choice between work hard or take out the camera and start filming and get totally distracted, I've been choosing the work hard part. So in this quick little update video, I just want to show you guys what we're up to. We've made tremendous progress, great strides, and all of our little projects here and there, all the little aspects to making the knives that we make. We're constantly refining, constantly improving, and I want to show you guys. Come along with me. So one really cool thing is we finally found a solid DLC coating supplier. This is an order we've been hanging on to for a long time because we got to get this DLC perfect. And now I do believe it is perfect. So DLC is called Diamond Like Carbon, and it's a coating process, very fancy, fairly expensive. It's $1 million machine, so we're never going to do it ourselves. That makes it not only black, which is the primary goal, but also very, very durable, very scratch resistant. So for example, the end mills that we use are coated with a similar process. This is TiAlN coating, a titanium aluminum nitride, similar to DLC. So, it's super cool and super black, which is epic, and should be really good scratch resistant. I've been carrying my knife. This one used to actually have these gold handles with the polished edges, but I just swapped out for some new handles because I wanted to test out the durability of the DLC. And that scratch right there came from the DLC place. I was not very happy with that. There were some other flaws and imperfections, but like that right there came from the DLC place. So I wasn't thrilled with that, but durability wise, I don't think I've put any other scratches into it, which is really sweet. Here is a beautiful Rask with black DLC screws and a black pivot. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Wow, black DLC screws, black spacers. Oh, so tasty. I'm not left-handed, so this might be a little awkward, but Eric has been nailing these bevels. So with the way that I figure out the processes to make everything, 90% of the work is up front. I think I mentioned this in my last video, that I will put an insane amount of time on the front end so that the process, that the way we do it is easier and more consistent and creates the best product possible every time. So yeah, we're extremely slow and we're extremely behind, and I'm pained with guilt every single day about being so behind, but I guarantee we will get caught up and we will produce the best product possible. This Rask of ours is phenomenal, and it's doing exactly what I want it to do in every category, from fit and finish to looks to style to just gorgeousness to the hardware shining properly and the DLC being perfect and the anodizing awesome and blade bevels being perfect and heat treat good and blah 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 blah. Like, there's a million processes we go through to make these knives wicked, and I've got 6 here that I want to show you guys that are done, ready to ship out. So my point of that long rant was that now we have the process down. Not just for this knife, we can apply all that same knowledge to the next knives that we come up with once we get caught up with this. Check this out. Ooh. Well, we'll start with the obvious standout here. This is a laser engraved patterned handle. It feels very smooth to the touch. Acid etched blade. Eric's getting a wicked dark etch now. Fantastic. The only downside to this pattern is it's very expensive. Falcor's here. Yeah, we have this plate done by a place in Canada, and it costs us hundreds of dollars per handle just to get it done. We need to get our own laser at some point, but it is phenomenal. To compound on that, here are some more of the same. And this pattern, if you remember, we did this to a Norseman last year, and same place. Wow, is that cool. It's actually 3D textured. So cool. And then we tumble it a little bit, breaks the edges, makes it softer, makes it look really cool. I love that, but again, very expensive. One of these is actually getting DLC coated, so it's going to be black on top of that, which is just going to look beautiful. Yeah, some other stuff here. Beautiful Damasteel blade. Just gorgeous. Damasteel clip. Check that out. The clips are actually very difficult to make in Damasteel and get them etched properly. This one's cool with the starburst fade and Damasteel. Thor pattern Damasteel. And more of the same. The gold one looks awesome. Look at that blade. Ooh. Blue clip, blue accents. So at this point, we make every single part of the knife. We make the screws, we make the pivot, we make the bearing cages. I mean, we've been doing this for years, but I just want to make sure you guys don't forget, we make everything. I've got some cool videos that I filmed of how we make these bearing cages on the new lathe. It's pretty awesome. Really happy with how these turned out. These are, you know, making them on the new lathe, these are now the best bearings we've ever made. And I've made them like 4 different ways. You know, we make the pivot screws. I found the rest of these little round parts. So at the DLC place, they must have threaded it into a little fixture or something, which is perfect. Or for some of the other stuff, they said they can just hang it from wire. And they have almost a chalky finish when they come off. But the second you rub your finger and a little bit of oil over it, then it blackens up even more. What grade is that one?
120, I think.
And the belt's going this way, right? Uphill? Cool.
I kept on getting shocked before. It would, like, as I sharpened, it would build up like static electricity or something, and then I'd touch here, or like I'd get kind of close to the light, and it would just arc across and shock the crap out of me. And it was getting very nerve-wracking and like kind of terrifying to do like sharpening on steel. So I finally figured out that if I just have a ground strap touching skin,
okay,
yeah, it's in my pants.
You just put it down your pants?
Yep.
Nice.
Easiest thing.
And that works?
Yeah, and then I don't get shocked ever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried all kinds of stuff, didn't we?
Yeah, I was
like,
trying to ground this everywhere, and
right. And you were Googling solutions and...
yeah, and everybody, like, the last thing was the, like, electromagnetic straps or whatever for the electronics people.
Yeah.
but I figured this is the same thing.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Got some blades in progress here. So that's the finish off the mill with that pretty beat up end mill. Honestly, I would like to see a better finish. I'm playing with all kinds of different end mills and strategies and everything, but it always ends up a little bit streaky. So Eric has developed a method of grinding these out that is leaving phenomenal finishes. So I'll mill it a little bit thicker than normal. Gives Eric a few thou to play with. This is like one of the first steps, and then he just goes shinier and shinier until you get the finished ones that I showed you earlier. Here's another one of those DLC knives in progress. Starburst pattern. And finished blade before sharpening. So Eric figured out he was having trouble with the flappies on the side of the belt kind of messing up the finish, so he tried the tape trick. Sometimes he used to put tape along the whole edge, but he found that this is all you really need. These are what's left of my screws. I need to make more. About 10 knives left in here. Gotta make more LBSs too. Things are going good though. It's been a while since I've done a shop panorama. But standing up in the corner here, we actually just sold the lathe today. It is time to say goodbye to the beloved Tormach lathe. She's been a good, trusty friend for me for the past couple of years, but now it's going on to bigger and better things. New home. The Nakamura has fully replaced it, and kind of sad to see it go. It was right here, taking up a ton of space, not being used at all. Then we got the Tormach Mill. I'm hesitant. I don't really want to sell it, but I kind of want to sell it. So if anybody in the Toronto area is interested, let me know. Email me, johngrimsmo@gmail.com, and we'll talk, because I have emotional attachment to it. I love it. I just don't know if it's ever going to get plugged in again. Yeah, we got the Mori. We got our two messy desks. We try, but we don't clean. We don't organize well enough. Something I want to improve. And the Mori and the Nakamura. Cozy. But removing this lathe just this morning really opened up a lot of space. Eric cleaned up, organized his kind of area there, moved some tables around this morning, and it's looking really good. A bunch of months ago, we got a barrel blaster, which overall I think we're very happy with. I haven't actually used it, but Eric's used it a bit. We don't use it for everything. He uses it for a few small tasks. I guess I thought we'd use it more, but I think it's a great machine. They're pretty cheap. They're like $200 or $300 and quite well made. Yeah, I think we need to play with more media choices. Like get a gritty aluminum oxide and a ceramic media. I think would be awesome. Right now we just have the walnut shells and glass bead, which doesn't really do much to like titanium and stuff. Tormach surface grinder is still rocking it, still being awesome. Belt conversion is for knife making is the way to go. You can see Eric's pile of dust here. And yeah, he gets mirror polish on the blades with that. It's awesome. This guy is on its last legs. This bracket broke, like the other tab fell off, and we just didn't put it back on. It seems to work. But it's getting sloppier, and it's going to self-destruct. Again, if you remember a couple years ago, the shaft broke in half. I made a new one. It's going to self-destruct soon. The new one we want is many thousands of dollars, so I'm really hesitant to buy that, but I think we're going to have to sometime soon-ish. Yeah, Eric moved around his heat treating area. It was right here just this morning. This is much more efficient, cleaner looking. Heat treat foil packets from Sentry Solutions. These are laser welded and are the greatest thing in the heat treating world, aside from vacuum heat treating, but we don't do that. Amazing. Eric says he'll never wrap blades like this unless he has to. It's always going to be in packets. They're expensive, but they're totally worth it. So yeah, he did a little bit of heat treating this morning. Still at 950. Blades are in temper right now, temper oven, toaster oven. Working good. Here's what the packets look like after heat treat. Just cut them open. He's getting the best heat treat I've ever seen. It better be, because this is Grimsmo Knives. It's got to be perfect. Heat treated blades right here. This is what they look like coming right out of heat treat. No discoloration, just light bronze color. Even, no blue on the tips or anything like that. Just fantastical. Really clean heat treat. So what I have to do next, I've got a few little projects, side projects that I'm finishing up. Little things here and there, like this knife didn't have the D10 ball perfect, so I gotta redo it. I gotta do a custom engraving on this guy. I'll show you guys that. And I also have to make stop pins. So we even make our own stop pins. Most people buy a standard size, like these ones, and they're fine, but they're only one size. And I figured out a long time ago that having an adjustable range of sizes allows us to tune in the knife better so that it's got the right flip and the right lockup. So the lock bar is just over exactly what we want, not too far, not less far. Everything's got to be perfect. So having an adjustable range of sizes is primo fantastic. However, the tolerances that I'm trying to hold on these are within the tenths, 10,000ths of an inch. You know, a few tenths is what I'm trying to hold, because literally, if they're too loose, they wiggle and they jiggle in the knife if you shake it around. And if they're too tight, they don't go in the hole. So tolerance range has to be very tight. These pins that you buy are ground, centerless ground, and they're pretty accurate. So I've got to hold tight tolerances. And even on this amazing machine, it's not like a cakewalk to hold tight tolerances. And honestly, I was kind of surprised. That's kind of why I bought it, is because I was like, oh, I'll hold, 1/10 all day long. It's more difficult than that, but I've had this thing for 2 and a bit months now. I think I've finally cracked it. I've been practicing and making a crap load of parts, most of which are garbage just because I'm learning. And now I think I've got it. I'm making really, really good parts now. Very happy with it. So yeah, quick update on this guy, Nakamura AS200L, LMYS. Let's turn the lights on. Man, it's falling asleep already. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this lathe. Having a lot of fun with it. I got my pill bottle here. I think I talked about that in my last video. Let's turn her on. Wait for it. There we go. You hear the hydraulic pump turn on. First thing I gotta do is I gotta reference, see these buttons, Y and B. X, Y, and B have to be referenced, B being the sub spindle. Gotta go home. I'm gonna rotate the turret. So this little corner I'm pretty proud of because I've got high density tooling. I just installed these the other day. They're Technics tool holders. They're plumbed for coolant to go through them, and I've got OSG coolant through drill bits right there. They look really sweet with coolant's coming through. I'll turn it on in a minute here. Very cool. So I've got 2 in one station, each with its own offset. Here, I'm really, really happy about this. Instead of putting one 1-inch holder, I'm like, what the heck? Why can't I just put 2 half-inch holders for Swiss lathes, stack them on top of each other? My parts are tiny anyway. This works awesome. So I have my roughing insert here, the bigger radius one, and then the finishing insert is the tiny radius one. And I've got coolant going to those too. So if we can see, hard to see with the light, but there's these little nozzles that shoot coolant at the cutting edge. It works pretty well. I've got 300 psi of high pressure coolant going. Over here I have a threading insert on this side, and I don't yet use this side, but I totally could as a grooving insert or whatever. I got a pretty decent flow of coolant hitting it there. This guy likes to stack up with chips for that job. It's an internal threading insert. So for threading the inside of the pivots and some other jobs that I do with it, works pretty good. Got a couple live tools here. A couple things to keep in mind is you don't want all the weight on one side, so I probably do have too much weight on this side, but I think the lathe can handle it. And yeah, like I talked about in my last video, I think, the pill bottle, it goes in and it catches the parts. Because the parts catcher here is too big. If a tiny little screw goes in here, it's probably going to bounce out or miss, and then when this comes back to the door, the screw falls out the crack and then gets lost in the chip conveyor. So yeah, the pill bottle works amazing. And I don't know if I ever showed, but this lathe came with a tool setter. So another really cool thing I figured out on this lathe, it's got so much like servo sensing equipment that this is my end mill for doing the Torx milling. It's a 20 thousandths diameter. You can see how tiny it is. Camera's having trouble focusing on it. It's very tiny. That thing likes to break pretty easily, and if it breaks and it's making screws, it'll just keep making screws with no Torx in it, which is kind of a waste of time. So I set up this little guy, which is a T8 Torx, one size smaller than our regular Torx. Kind of just, I drilled a hole in there, set screw mounted down, and what that does is it'll mill the Torx, bop, 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 bop. You can see, I actually milled the Torx into the end of my ejector pin accidentally once. So it'll mill the Torx, and then that tool will come down, and it'll go, and it'll touch, and it's got sensing, so if it goes all the way in the hole with zero resistance, it'll pull out and keep going. If it stops because that end mill is broken and there's no Torx bit there, it'll stop instantly and retract and alarm out, so that at least the machine's not wasting bar, wasting coolant, wasting time, wasting parts on a broken tool. I had to find a good way to get a chip container high enough so that it didn't all leak out. Home Depot, 3 of these stacked on top of each other leaves me the perfect gap, catches chips perfectly. And then when one's full, it just goes to the bottom of the pile, and then I have 3 to take out, or at least 2. That's pretty great. I got a shipping printer and a scale, Amazon purchases. All this stuff is from those knives, so pardon the mess. Yeah, Dymo Label Writer 4XL. It's a little buggy, like I'm still learning it. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it work. I had printer connection issues yesterday, but it's awesome. Prints off paid shipping label that's got all the information on it, customs and everything. So I just stick it on the package. Looks about like yay. So I will admit, this lathe has been kicking my butt for the past 2 months or so. It's a very complicated piece of machinery. I like to think that I'm a smart guy, but it's a very complicated piece of machinery. There are codes on top of codes on top of codes that have to be perfect. Let's see if I can find an example here. So this is the code for my 440 screw. The knife screws, basically. I've got macro math in there to figure out, so if my bar, this bar was 4.27 inches, part length, cutoff tool plus blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it can do math. That variable minus that variable divided by that plus that equals how many bars that I can do in, or how many pieces I can do in the bar, which is, it's pretty sweet stuff. And then there's a bit of code at the end that alarms out. Yeah, so that kind of stuff, and you know, I'm using Fusion 360 to program it, which I love Fusion 360, no complaints. It's young, and it's not completely suited for a 6-axis lathe like this yet. However, I use it and it's fine. The problem is in the post-processor, and nobody's ever made a Nakamura post-processor, so I had to invent one off of a Haas post-processor. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, it's basically on the computer, the program that makes stuff spits out code that's basically gibberish. The post-processor has to filter it and translate it into code that the machine can read. And each machine is different. The Knack is different than the Mori, is different than a Haas, different than the Tormach. Everyone's got its own post-processor. Luckily, the Mori uses the default Fanuc post-processor. It's awesome. But yeah, I had to work a lot with the Knack post, and it still doesn't spit out, like, I can't just spit out a complete part, 20 operations from Fusion and put it on the thing. I have to tweak it and edit it, but that's okay. I've been working on CNC lathe for 8 years now. I know G-code pretty well. And the cool thing is I can now edit the code to speed it up. I can take out moves that don't have to be there. I can zip it around. I can do things faster. You know, the default way is to go up and over and then do a tool change and then over and I can make it go diagonally. And it takes a few seconds off, which is great. So it's really fun to make these parts where seconds count. Seconds make a difference. And it's just cool to watch. To take a part from 5 minutes down to like 3.5 or 3 minutes like I did the other day. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's how many more parts a day are you making? Because you've saved so much time. I don't make oodles of parts, but I want this lathe to be repeatable. I want it to be easy to set up, and I want to be able to make great parts all the time without a lot of fuss. That's why I got this machine. And I'm almost there, which is good. It's been a big learning process. I promised you guys some coolant. So, coolant manual. There's a cool setting in here where you can go low pressure coolant, which I'll show you how pitiful that is. Now I can actually open the door because this isn't going to matter. This is low pressure coolant. It's, as my applications guys say, you can pee harder than this. So it's got a chip washer here for the B-axis, and this is what the drills look like. So these are actually, they're not drilled through, but they have these passages that spiral through the threads, or through the drill, and allow cutting fluid to go directly to the cutting tip, which is the only place that matters, really, because on a drill, it's only those two front edges that are doing anything. The rest is just evacuating. So when that's in a hole, coolant is now spitting into the hole, and for a deep hole, the chips are getting pushed out with high pressure coolant. Pretty darn cool. Ah, get it? Cool. Let's turn on high pressure here. Off high pressure, execute, manual, ready. That's a little bit better. That's 300 PSI coolant. Yep, awesome. They have some units that are 1,000 PSI. I've even heard of Swiss lathes that are running oil that have 2,000 PSI. That's crazy. Let's go, I'll show you the coolant on that guy too. So you can see the two streams of coolant right there, each hitting each insert. Normally it's like that big guy right there. Sort of a ton of wasted coolant, a lot of pressure being lost. So that's my update for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. More to come. I want to share more stuff. I really enjoyed filming this. I had a lot of fun just talking and sharing and talking. I love it. I just don't take the time to do it because I feel so stressed and burdened all the time. But I wouldn't have it any other way. This is the business, the life that I chose, and I love it. I just need to optimize it so that I'm not stressed all the time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys for all your help. I realize we're coming up to 50,000 YouTube subscribers. I want to do something special. I have no idea what yet, but it's kind of a milestone. Same for Instagram. We're coming up on 20,000 followers on Instagram too. And it's time to do something special. I've never done, I don't know what, a giveaway, a contest, a challenge. I don't know yet. I'm open to suggestions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.